Good Yontif. Judaism teaches that certain periods of time are liminal in nature and hold tremendous spiritual potential. Our rabbis name these moments as Bein HaShemashot, which translates as between the suns, or that tender space between sundown and sunrise. These are thin places in time, precious, fleeting, and filled with vulnerability because they anticipate transformation, if only we are awake to perceive them. This past summer, our family felt the texture of Bein HaShemashot. Our eldest, Maccabee, had finished high school but not yet started college. On the surface, everything appeared normal, with familiar patterns of everybody being very busy. Yet, as anyone who has watched a child prepare to leave the nest knows, Maccabee's imminent departure quietly hovered over every activity. Family dinners on the back porch were savored for more than just the food. We would look for excuses to see him throughout the day and steal moments with him in the kitchen late at night. Yes, the summer days are long, but the weeks seemed too short knowing that our son was about to embark on the adventure called the rest of his life. And we who were staying at home would miss him. In truth, even while we were together these past few months, we'd already begun to miss him. Far from being grim or heavy, the awareness of this liminal time was a reflection of the love in our home and the depth of our relationship. One evening, a few weeks ago, Maccabee returned home from a Shabbat meal with college-aged kids at another synagogue in Dunwoody. The conversation revolved around the particulars of Jewish identity versus being a citizen of the world. Marita and I were almost done tidying up the kitchen. It had been a long day. It was late, and we were tired. But Maccabee was wide awake, alive with energy, and he wanted to dive into the conversation right then and there that I would come to call Mom, Dad, why be Jewish? Gathering our wits to meet the moment, we found ourselves enumerating the statistical reality. We're a tiny people, just 2% of America and 0.002% of the world, as if to say, we don't have the luxury to ask these types of questions. Without our Judaism, we risk losing ourselves. But numbers and statistics were not what he was looking for. My wife, an immigrant from the Soviet Union, tried the age-old approach, explaining that being Jewish is a form of defiance against the oppressors who would see us erased. But Mac was not interested in an identity based on anti-Semitism. He pressed for something deeper, something that spoke to the heart of who we are. Our rabbis teach that the whole reason for being Jewish is that God has tapped us to be partners and taken the world from what it is to what it needs to be, from darkness to light, from sickness to health, from brokenness to wholeness, from injustice to justice. That's what we call tikkun olam, repairing the world. And our sages say that every generation of Jews is responsible for doing their part to move the needle forward. And every single one of us is meant to make the world better through our thoughts, our actions, and our relationships. Now, I believe this. With all my heart, I believe this. But Maccabee had heard me say this many, many times. So when I said it to him that night, he literally rolled his eyes at me. The words had worn out their meaning. Too theoretical. And round we went. I said, Judaism is our religion. He responded, lots of Jews never step foot in a synagogue and are still fully Jewish. I said, well, it has something to do with faith in God. He replied, aren't we Jews by definition God wrestlers? And our religion allows us to question, doubt, and even reject God, and we are still considered fully Jewish. I brought up a shared history. We're an ancient people. Yeah, maybe, he said. But the reality is that Jews across the world don't look the same, speak the same language, or even share the same culture. We are super diverse in every measurable way. Running out of steam for the moment, we surrendered to the midnight debate in the kitchen. In the quiet that settled around us, I felt the full weight of a realization. Raising the next generation, the next Jewish generation in today's world, demands courage. As Rabbi Yitz Greenberg recently wrote, all Jews alive today are essentially Jews by choice. Very few live under the kind of oppression that once forced Jews to stay within their communities. In fact, many Jews in the diaspora are successful, their lives blending into the surrounding culture, which means that anyone who chooses to identify as a Jew, no matter their level of observance, is making a deliberate choice. In that choice lies both the freedom and the responsibility to pass on a living, breathing Jewish identity. I heard myself say, Maccabee, I don't have an easy answer to your question, why be Jewish? And I can't really answer it by myself. But what I do know is this: an intellectual debate doesn't come close to an answer. In the end, why be Jewish feels a lot like saying, why be part of a family? To be Jewish is to be part of an extended family that experiences life together and shows up for one another again and again and again. At this point, we were close to sunrise, and for the moment, the conversation was over. But today feels like the right time to renew it. Rosh HaShanah is our celebration of the new year, but it's also called Yom HaZikaron, a day of remembering. At its essence, it means God remembers us, the Jewish people. But it can also mean something just as powerful, the day when we, the Jewish people, remember who we are. The liminal threshold of Rosh Hashanah, this sacred Bein HaShamashot, between the year that was and the year to come, gives us the chance to pause, to look back and choose how we want to step forward. It's our chance to reclaim the best version of ourselves. The times when we were brave and the times when we were kind. When we made an effort to extend our hand and open enough to accept another's. When we allowed ourselves to feel wonder and love and connection. When showing up for one another made us, at least in that moment, what Judaism calls kadosh, sacred. take a moment. Take a moment. I invite you to notice the familiar surroundings of this sanctuary, your home away from home. Feel the connection. Feel the energy of this place, the presence of your family and our community. Allow your mind to drift toward the memory of Jewish milestones that have shaped your life, and allow them to emerge clearly in your mind's eye. Remember how we came together to name the new baby? The excitement and gratitude for a new life? That most wonderful bridge from your family into future generations. As a community, we prayed, Baruch Atah Adonai, who has brought us this child, every soul, a world of possibility. May their parents and grandparents rejoice in who they are and the time they have together. And may their lives be wonderful and their many days be blessed. How about that wedding? That amazing wedding, where as a community we celebrated with bride and groom. The details, the beauty, the family, the guests, everyone coming together from near and far to raise up two people who declare to the world that they are in love. Dodi li, va'ani lo, va'ani la. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Under the chuppah, surrounded by tradition, we delight as they share their vows, drink from the Kiddush cup, and exchange rings. Each gesture is a symbol of their desire to create a home, to be a family, to intertwine their souls. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Holy, holy, holy. Celebrating with the bride and groom is a joy that our rabbis call Elu Divarim, one of those things that makes life worth living. And in those moments, as we witness and rejoice, we become a reflection of God. Baruch Atah Adonai, who allows souls to find another and enables us to celebrate weddings with the deepest of joys and profound thanks. As I look out into this congregation, I see you, each of you who's here today. And I also see those from our community who have died. Our tradition holds that the people who we love most and have passed on are right here with us, close enough that you can feel their presence. The love that you shared transcends the boundaries of death. Remember their funeral, where we celebrated a life well lived, even as we mourned their passing. At every Jewish funeral, we utter the words, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, return to your source, reminding us that just as a wave softly returns to the ocean, so do our souls return to God. These are the moments when families come together. Profound times when friends and community hold one another. We're invited into the house of mourning, where we sit Shiva and break bread. There we tell stories, jewels of a life lived that are heard and held like treasure. Our sages teach that helping bury someone is the highest level of kindness because they can't pay you back. I often feel that the way we come together around death reveals us at our very best. There's something about the meeting point of mortality and love that softens us, peeling away callous layers that we built up over time. Our rabbis teach that, as painful as that time may be, nothing opens us to receiving love quite like a broken heart. Funerals are never happy, but they are so meaningful in the weave of our lives, binding our connections to one another. Zikron lebracha. May our memories of the dead always be for us a blessing. Remember gathering for Shabbat? The frenzy of delicious smells and cooking, setting the table, guests arriving with flowers. Its dance is a welcoming and familiar choreography. Together, we share the sweetness of wine, the glow of candlelight, and the quiet joy of simply being with each other. And for a moment, time feels more gentle. Shabbat empowers each of us with a possibility that we and our world could be so much more. Our rabbis say that on Shabbat, our souls have the chance to revitalize and grow. And so Shabbat serves as a hint of Olam Haba, the world to come. By far, my favorite Bein HaShemashot, sacred liminal time, is the bar and bat mitzvah, a rite of passage for our teenagers, often celebrated right here in this sanctuary. We are a tiny people, and I have a theory that the reason we Jews are still here and tend to flourish wherever we go, despite our minute numbers, is because of the bar bat mitzvah tradition. Growing up is inevitable. Time will take care of that. But spiritual and emotional maturity is something different. It doesn't just happen on its own. For the Jewish people, raising the next generation, especially at this time when it can feel like a burden, takes real effort. Our hope is not simply that they grow up, but that they grow into grounded, community-oriented, and spiritually alive adults. That requires mentorship. It takes shared experiences and the steady presence of a community that models what it means to live with purpose. Rabbi Shai Held describes the times in which we live is full of beauty and barbarism. We are complex beings with contradictory natures, struggling to make our way through what is often a bewildering world. In the face of all this, Jewish tradition makes a simple but audacious claim, our conflicting impulses notwithstanding. We remain capable of choosing the good, and the height of the good is love. At just 13 years old, we empower our young men and women to stand before us and to lead because we love them and because we need them. The success that they feel after diligently studying Torah and leading their community in prayer, gives them the confidence and the momentum to do the next big thing in life. Mitzvah geveret mitzvah. One mitzvah propels us to the next. Maybe it begins with leading a project for their school and then grows into something for their town. And one day, perhaps for the sake of the world. Our 13-year-olds are taught that they are infinitely valuable to our community and they have unique gifts to share. Across generations, we nourish them with the courage to try. There's a moment at the bar bat mitzvah when we're all standing in front of the open ark, the family holding the Torah and the child ready to receive. In that sacred pause, we say to them, "Hey, how are you doing?" And with this break in decorum, we remind one another that the rituals and the space and the liminal time are so beautifully personal. That boy or girl, dressed in their Shabbat best, standing beneath the Ner Tamid, almost always smiles as if to signal that they are more than okay, that they are seen, they are held, and they are known. They accept the Torah from their parents and then lead us all in the Shema, an ancient mantra of Jewish continuity. There's a midrash that teaches that the first time the Shema was proclaimed was on Jacob's deathbed, surrounded by his 12 children. In the twilight of his life, Jacob felt the age-old parental anxiety. Will my children carry on my tradition? Listen, Israel, calling Jacob by his second name. Your God is our God, and God is one. With these words, they assure him that they'll stand their ground as an extended family and proudly carry Judaism into their own lives and into each generation to come. Today on Rosh HaShanah, we are called to remember who we are, and we aspire to be the best version of ourselves. With every Bein HaShemashot that Judaism offers us, we actively shape the memories that define us as individuals within a family and as families within a people. So in response to our children's persistent question, "Mom, Dad, why be Jewish?" I turn to you, this extended, multifaceted family with gratitude. And I invite you to turn to one another for offering a living, breathing Jewish answer together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. L'Shana Tova.